The second last test for Bora Hansgrohe and Primoz Roglic, and a hard one at that, with attacks coming from the other GC contenders. Over 4,000 meters elevation gain in this stage, over just 155 kilometers long, including two very long and difficult climbs. The Col de la Ramaz, which was in the Tour de France last year, and Samoin 1600, 10 Ks at 9%. Very, very difficult. Roglic happy before the stage. Not that hot conditions, raining as well. Break formation, we saw Wellens trying to get in the break. Eventually, his teammate is in there, Marc Soler, as the best climber in the break. Godin is there helping Nicolas Prudhomme. There's also Warren Barguil, he's good on these sort of stages, as he showed on Granon in 2022. But we saw on Ramaz, Soler pretending. He can't fool me anymore. He did this on stage 15 of the Tour de France last year on the Le Betec stage. He bides his time, he goes to back. They got 4 minutes. They got a healthy gap to the peloton that was being paced by Nico Denz. And all of a sudden, with Wawa up the road, and I think Fortunato following Soler decides to make his move. And he goes maybe too hard on Col de la Ramaz, frankly, because he could have done with some help in the valley later, the descent, and also this climb levels off with about 3Ks to go, whilst Denz, he changes to Jungels, but the gap goes to 5 minutes, and Jungels actually keeps letting it out to about 5:25, 5:30, the gap peak. But Soler, not really a GC threat. He was, I think, 3:30 on GC, so Bora just needed to keep it within reason. They didn't really care about Marc Soler. They controlled today's stage really, really well. UAE, problems for Sivakov. I think he had a mechanical, so he had to change bike with Arietta, maybe. It's hard to tell with everyone got the gilets on. They're all a little bit cold, actually, all of a sudden on the descent off Col de la Ramaz, and that bike looks a little bit too small for Sivakov. Meanwhile, his teammate Soler, he's trying to stay up the road. Sivakov's trying to get back onto the peloton, which Jungels paced. I think Jungels is actually a pretty fast descender, and he kept Bora Hansgrohe in front position. But these mountain stages, they're also about valleys, and valleys almost make as much of a difference if you're in a bad position as the climbs. And with Jungels chasing full gas, Denz returning for Bora Hansgrohe, Remco and Landa, if you're in the peloton, it's no problem in the draft having a chat and a laugh. But if you're Sivakov, having to change back now that you've got the car just behind you to the bike your own spare bike, it's a problem, and they've got to drop Niels Pollitt back to pace against Nico Denz. If you're Marc Soler, up ahead alone in this valley before Samoin, you got to ride at like 5 watts per kilo just about to stay on the same time. So that takes a huge amount of energy, whilst the guys like Ciccone, Jorgensen, Remco, Roglic, they're all staying quote-unquote fresh. Of course, the climb's very hard beforehand. Sobrero, he has been very good as in like the Tage Pinot role for Bora Hansgrohe, a versatile domestique. He starts pacing and drops pretty much everybody that wasn't interested in competing for the stage. Already it goes to a group of, say, 25 riders as he begins pacing hard. And Soler, the gap goes under 4 minutes to 3 minutes with 7Ks left. Sivakov drops. That's not too surprising given his horrid luck on the descent. But you see Remco, even on the white jersey, inadvertently through the camera shot, he's at the back dropping. He's behind Matteo Sobrero. And Jai Hindley's just gone to the front to start pulling really, really hard. And that puts Remco immediately 12 seconds behind, and he'd keep bleeding time to this group. He'd lose a lot of time, lose his podium spot. Whilst we have, what the hell a polar bear doing in Arlington, Texas meme, Josh Tarling, the young rider on Ineos, the time trial, not a specialist anymore, in this group 5Ks into the climb. He's an unbelievable talent. I can't wait to see what Tarling can do in the future. Just being there in the group of 15 is crazy. But Ciccone starts to attack. He looks back. He puts paid to Hindley, who spends his last bullet chasing the Italian maestro, who doesn't have any teammates to set him up. Same with Jorgensen. They can't really do much except follow, especially when you got Vlasov pacing really, really strongly. Now Ciccone tried. It didn't work. He's not stupid. He goes back into the wheels, and he's going to wait for the sprint because Vlasov's setting a hard enough pace that basically no one can attack. I mean, Lazcano's there, Romo's there. Again, two bigger Spaniards doing really well. And Soler, he really cracks. He loses 2 minutes, like within, I think, 1,500 meters on this climb. Santi attacks. Vlasov easily responds to him. And after that, no one else really. Like Jorgensen, what's he going to do? Attack? Vlasov chases him, risks losing his podium position if G counters. It ends with Vlasov shutting the stage down and then Roglic going back so he can keep a better eye on all these guys. it's going to turn into a mountain sprint, and unfortunately for Marc Soler, having started the climb with such a big gap, he completely implodes in the last 4 or 5 kilometers. And we know it's going to be a sprint finish between the GC riders. Who will it be? Roglic, the heavy favourite. Ciccone is pretty sharp in these finishes. Will it be one of the other contenders like Derek G, Jorgensen, Lascano even, Santiago Buitrago? Lascano was struggling a little bit with 1,100 metres to go. He's just off the back here whilst Landa and Romo are dropped. But then the pace from Vlasov lowers just a little bit. It levels off as well. And there's maybe a bit of a recovery period. They then go into a tunnel. Santi opens it up. Jorgensen easily following, obviously feeling sharp. Rodriguez and De Plus, they'd sat in the wheels. De Plus then gets put on a gap. Rodriguez following G, and then Lascano goes again with about 400 metres to go. Jorgensen goes to him but doesn't counter, and then Roglic, perfect timing through the inside of the bend to the left, does his vintage acceleration in the last 200 metres, and pretty much no one has ever been able to follow that burst just about except Tadej Pogačar on occasion. He's not here. Roglic back-to-back, 2 days in a row. Perfect controlling work from Bora Hansgrohe, and they execute what I guess was their morning plan with an A+ grade. Roglic ahead of Jorgensen, then Ciccone, Lascano, G, Rodriguez, Buitrago, De Plus, Vlasov, and Landa. Here's what Roglic had to say after the stage.
It was a hard day, but really, guys did an amazing job, having everything under control from the very start till the finish. So I'm glad, I had the legs at the end to finish it off.
And you really wanted to win it. We saw that final sprint. It was impressive.
Yeah, I mean, at the end, why not? There was opportunity, and just because guys did an incredible job. I mean, we all still feel it after the crash, and putting now these hard days in the legs. I mean, for sure nobody feels better. But with the commitment and the work they put, another day that we can celebrate, be happy.
The conditions out there were pretty rough. It was cold, it was raining, and then when it was warm, and you had your pains in your body. How were you today?
Yeah, I mean, it's not really easier than putting rain jackets with one hand on and off and all the shit. I was freezing after the first climb. But I mean, still waiting for the summer, no?
In terms of GC, nothing changes at the top. Roglic just extends his lead on GC significantly to Evenepoel and by a few bonus seconds, 4 to Jorgensen, who moves into second with a comfortable gap to Vlasov in fourth. G also looking very, very good for the podium now in third after Evenepoel fell out of the podium positions. But tomorrow, another very, very hard stage to Plateau de Glières. Can't wait to watch it. I'll see you with a recap then. Ciao.